This is bad. This is really, really bad, guys. I'm going to share with you something that has been going on for a while. And it's a rash of bullcrap propaganda being spread all over social media, on TikTok especially, but then also Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And this is an example of an AI video right here. This guy is not real. This is a Chinese, straight out of China, Chinese propaganda. And its intent is to scare the hell out of you and me here in the United States into thinking that Iran is going to be able to produce maximum damage on the U.S. Navy. And it's supposed to scare us up so we can put pressure on our Congress or on the President of the United States and tell him to leave poor Iran alone because, oh boy, it's just too risky because they've got all these advanced weapons and pretty soon we're going to run out of ammunition, okay? And things are going to get really ugly. So we're going to check out a little bit of this scare tactic AI-generated video where what they'll do, they even go so far as to take footage from other events in history that are not the current Iran war, and then they'll put voiceovers on and act like it's stuff that's happening right now. And all of this stuff is bullcrap, and the intent is just to scare the hell out of people. And a lot of people are falling for it, which surprises me. Now, I'll admit, this video scared me when I first saw it. It kind of shook me up. But then 10 or 15 minutes in, I was like, hold up, wait a minute. This is bull crap. This is Chinese propaganda. China working with Iran to produce false information because they know that we've got a lot of stupid people in this country that'll share that information and create, you know, all of this fear. Okay, so let's check out a little bit of this video, and then I'm going to tell you what their real purpose is and how they are lying. Here we go.
This morning, Iran did something no nation on earth has attempted against the United States since the Second World War. They tried to sink an American aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, in the middle of the Arabian Sea with 4 ballistic missiles in broad daylight. The IRGC released an official statement this morning, naming it Operation True Promise 4. They declared, in writing, that the United States aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln was struck by 4 ballistic missiles. They said the land and sea will increasingly become the graveyard of the terrorist aggressors. They declared this the entry into a new phase of military conflict, land and sea operations intensifying simultaneously. And then CENTCOM fired back. Within minutes of the IRGC statement hitting social media, U.S. Central Command posted its own response in 2 words that appeared on screens across every military newsroom on Earth. Those 2 words were simply, lie. All capital letters. Full stop. And then the details. Lincoln was not hit. The missiles launched did not even come close. The carrier continues launching aircraft. So here is the question that every intelligence agency, every naval analyst, and every defense ministry on Earth is now urgently answering. What actually happened to those 4 Iranian ballistic missiles? And more importantly, why is the fact that they missed actually more alarming for American long-term warfighting capacity than if they had come close?
No, okay, that's the trick. That's the trick. So he comes right out the box, and he admits that, okay, the 4 missiles hitting the ship was a lie, okay? But then that's the setup. So then he turns around and scares us into thinking that it was intentional, and that's not why we should be scared. So let's listen to a little bit more, and then I'm going to tell you how he's tricking us and what the big lie hidden within that admission was.
That is the story nobody is fully telling. Until right now. Let's build the full picture from the beginning, because the carrier attack attempt exists inside 48 hours of the most intense air and naval combat in the Middle East as seen since 2003. Operation Epic Fury began at 1:15 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, February 28th. CENTCOM described it as the largest regional concentration of technology,
okay, let's
unambiguous.
zip forward here.
The carrier continues to launch air.
And go to the point where he's talking about what really supposedly was happening when the 4 missiles didn't make it to the aircraft carrier because they were shot down. And that's where he builds this scenario of what they're really doing and why we should really be scared.
SM-2, SM-3, and SM-6 capability. The SM-3 blocked YA is designed specifically to intercept ballistic missiles in their mid-course phase at exo-atmospheric altitudes above the atmosphere. That is the primary kill vehicle against Iranian ballistic missiles. CENTCOM's statement that the missiles did not even come close suggests one of 2 things. Either the SM-3 interceptors engaged and destroyed all 4 missiles well outside the carrier's defensive perimeter, or the missile's terminal guidance failed before reaching the engagement envelope, meaning Iran's targeting systems lost lock on the carrier before the missiles reached the point where he just needed to engage. Both outcomes are operationally significant. If SM-3 interceptors killed all 4, Iran now has data on the exact engagement range and intercept altitude of Lincoln's defensive screen. Data it will use next time.
Okay, so there's your scare tactic right there. That's the first one. So he's claiming that Iran sent those 4 ballistic missiles knowing they were going to be intercepted, but they were doing it so that they could understand how the defense systems actually work. And that's where he builds into the big fat lie about what Iran is supposedly going to do. You're so busted, Mr. Chinese AI guy.
If Iran's targeting failed before engagement, it means the electronic warfare and deception systems the Lincoln Strike Group is running successfully confused the missiles' terminal seekers before they could reacquire. Either way, Iran fired. Iran learned. Iran will fire again with updated parameters and adjusted trajectories designed to stress the exact defensive geometry it now has data on from this morning's engagement. Wyon confirmed this is exactly what analysts called suspicious from the start. A Nimitz-class carrier does not sail alone. Hitting it through Aegis is an extraordinary challenge for any ballistic missile, but the word extraordinary is not the same as impossible. And Iran's missile engineers are not amateurs. They built the Khorramshahr 4 hypersonic glide vehicle confirmed with a terminal phase, Mach 7 approach. A hypersonic glide vehicle changes trajectory in terminal phase. It does not fly a predictable ballistic arc, it maneuvers. And the SM-3 still chain is optimized for predictable ballistic trajectories, not maneuvering gliders. Iran's next attempt, if there is one, may use a Khorramshahr 4 or a Fatah hypersonic missile whose terminal maneuverability specifically stresses the SM-3's engagement envelope. That is the evolution to watch.
That's a lie, too. So now he's trying to scare you up into thinking that Iran has hypersonic missiles. They don't. As far as what I know, and I think this is fact, there's only 2 countries, maybe 3, that have hypersonic missiles. Russia has them, and we saw them being used in the Ukraine war. The United States has them, and we saw those being used when we invaded Venezuela. Iran does not have them. Israel, I think they do. So he's claiming right here that Iran has hypersonic missiles, but it gets better. Let's continue this because there's another big fat lie coming, and it's just absurd. And this is the one that scared me the most.
Now let's bring in the full strategic picture, because the carrier attack attempt does not exist in isolation. It is one event inside a war that is escalating on every dimension simultaneously. The IDF launched a second major wave of strikes on Sunday targeting Tehran's heart. The Israeli Air Force hit command and control targets in central Tehran, buildings directly associated with the IRGC's remaining leadership. An Iranian missile struck Beit Shemesh in central Israel, killing 6 to 8 people and wounding dozens in a residential neighborhood. That is Iranian ballistic missiles killing Israeli civilians in their homes on day 2. A woman was killed in Tel Aviv, identified as Philippine national Mary Ann Velasquez de Vera, a foreign worker in Israel, killed by an Iranian ballistic missile, while more than 50 wounded in those clashes. Qatar reported 65 incoming Iranian missiles intercepted over its territory with 16 injuries. The Gulf Cooperation Council convened an emergency online session of foreign ministers to coordinate a unified response to Iranian attacks. At least 150 oil tankers dropped anchor in Gulf waters after the war began, refusing to transit the region until the threat picture clarifies. Lloyd's List confirmed the insurance market is now canceling war risk coverage. London's Steamship Mutual Underwriting Association issued formal notice canceling war risk coverage for Iran, Iranian waters, the Persian Gulf, and the Gulf of Oman, effective 72 hours from midnight GMT on March 1st. When the insurance market formally cancels war risk coverage, it is not a symbolic act. It means every ship transiting those waters does so without financial protection for war damage. Shipping will stop. And the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's daily oil supply transits, is now inside an active war zone between 2 carrier strike groups and an IRGC that just fired at one of them. Brent crude jumped more than $8 per.
Okay, so that's another scare tactic. So he's trying to scare us into believing that there's no insurance coverage for any of those ships that go through. So they shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is going to drive up the price of oil per barrel because we're not going to be able to complete this mission. But that's not even the best part. Let's continue on.
Per barrel when markets open this morning. That number will grow if the strait closes. And Iran's public doctrine for decades has been to mine the strikes alone cannot topple a government. Iran in 2026 is likely to emerge battered but not broken, a costly example of the limits of air power. They called the war unconstitutional.
Oh, of course, unconstitutional. And that is also a big fat lie. Let me back up because there's a part in here that is very significant. Let me see if I can find it. And let's see here. Basically, what he's going to say, and I'll see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I'll tell you what he's saying. He made a claim in this video that we only have a limited amount of Patriot missiles. So he basically says that Patriot missiles are $1 million a pop and that we're shooting down their missiles, okay, and that they're trying to deplete our inventory. And he claims that we are at a critical level, a critical low level. Here it is right here. Here we go. Here it is. This is a big fat lie. Let's listen to this. And then this is the biggest lie that he tells in the video that scared me until I figured out he was telling a bald-faced lie.
Kane told Trump and the National Security Council in the Situation Room that THAAD and Patriot interceptor stockpiles were already depleted from supporting Israel and Ukraine simultaneously for months. He warned that the annual U.S. production rate of several hundred interceptors was far below what a sustained Iranian missile campaign would require. That warning is now playing out in real time with precise numbers. In the first 36 hours of Operation Epic Fury, Gulf states intercepted a combined 282 ballistic missiles and 833 drones fired by Iran. Read those numbers again slowly. 282 ballistic missiles, 833 drones. Every intercepted Iranian missile burned one American or allied interceptor from a finite inventory. Every intercepted drone burned a Patriot or SHORAD round from a supply chain that takes months to replenish. G-Captain, a naval intelligence publication, published a blunt assessment this morning sourced to Bloomberg. U.S. and Gulf allies face critical missile interceptor shortages. Stocks could run dry within days. Within days. Not weeks. Days. And Iran maintains thousands of missiles in reserve beyond.
Okay, so that's a big fat lie right there. Here's what he's saying. They're putting up drones to deplete the Patriot missile supply, okay? That's what he's building up to. And now he's even going to throw some math into the equation and talk about finances. Listen to this.
Beyond what it has already fired. The question G-Captain asked explicitly is, who can outlast whom? Iran fires a cheap Shahed drone. It costs $20,000 to build. The Patriot interceptor that destroys it costs $4 million. Iran fires another, and another, and another. The math of that exchange rate is brutal. Iran fires a cheap Fadia 110 short-range ballistic missile. It costs $500,000 to build. The SM-6 that intercepts it costs $4.3 million. Multiply that across 282 ballistic missiles in 36 hours. The asymmetric economics of this exchange are Iran's actual strategy. Not sinking the Lincoln, not winning a traditional military engagement, draining the American interceptor stockpile faster than it can be replenished. Keynes saw this math. He put it in front of Trump. Trump called his warning 100% incorrect. And now the math Keynes warned about is playing out in real time on radar screens across the Gulf. Now let's talk about what the Lincoln Strike Group actually did to those 4 Iranian ballistic missiles.
Okay, so that's the biggest bullcrap there. I was trying to focus my camera. That's the point where I was like really scared, and I thought, okay, this is BS, because he's basically trying to say that the U.S. military is so stupid that we would completely deplete our Patriot missile supply at $1 million a pop, shooting down drones that only cost Iran and China $20,000. So yeah, right. We're just going to keep on shooting down drones with $1 million missiles because we're too dumb to figure out that they're depleting our supply. That's the biggest, fattest lie that he told in this entire video, and it's just disgusting. And a lot of people believed it. But then when you go to the comments section, and I'm going to leave a link, and you'll even see some of my comments. I'll leave a link to this video, and then you will see how many people figured it out and called bullcrap on Mr. Chinese AI man and your whole lie that we're wasting $1 million missiles on $20,000 drones. So the whole purpose of his video is to strike fear and make us think that we're not going to be able to win this war because Iran's not going to give up, that they're going to deplete our inventory, and then we're in big, fat trouble. I tell you what, I just cannot believe how creative they get in using fake video coverage, telling false stories, and coming up with this bull crap to try to change the way that the world is viewing this conflict. Okay, as if we're the bad guys and we should just leave the Iranian regime alone because they're good folks. I mean, they probably were well within their rights to gun down those 35,000 people in the streets during the protests just a few weeks ago. So let me know. I want to know from you. Post it in the comments. What outrageous type of bullcrap, AI generated or false historic videos have you seen posted where they're turning it into actual footage of the war in Iran right now? And did you fall for it? Or do you have a friend that is rage posting on Facebook, sharing some of these ridiculous videos? Some of them are so bad that they're completely AI generated. I had one friend that posted a video a few days ago, and it talked about how Iran was fighting the big bully, Israel, and the bully was going to be taken down, and that Iran was just waiting for their big strike, and now they have struck Israel, and it said that Israel started out with a slap, and Iran came back with a punch. And then they generated these fake videos that show hundreds of missiles raining down on Israel, just destroying Tel Aviv, destroying major cities, buildings, highways, bridges, the whole 9 yards. And then it even has like people holding up cell phone cameras taking video footage of all of the carnage. And it's so hideously obvious that it's AI generated. We're not at a point where AI can make videos that you can't tell the difference. In about a year or two, we're not going to be able to tell the difference. And this is going to be a very, very interesting time when we get to that point where people can make videos so realistic that it can fool the smartest people. But right now, it's only the idiots that fall for this crap. So post in the comments, let me know if you've seen some of this ridiculous nonsense. And then, like I said, I'll post a link to this video with Mr. Chinese AI guy. Go and read the comments. It's hilarious. You got to check it out. Anyway, I'll keep you posted on this. That's all I got for this one. This is Carlton, and I am out.